Have you ever walked through a quiet forest and felt like someone was watching you? You turn around, but no one is there. Or is there? There is a legend, a creature so tall, so silent, and so terrifying that just seeing him can drive you mad. His name is Slender Man. Slender Man is a mythical creature. He is tall, unnaturally tall, almost 8 to 10 feet. He wears a black suit and tie like a businessman. But there's one thing missing: his face. No eyes, no mouth, no nose, just smooth, pale skin, like a mannequin. Some say he has long arms that can stretch for meters. Others believe black tentacles grow from his back, allowing him to grab his victim silently. He doesn't speak. He doesn't run. He just watches. The Slender Man legend began on the internet in 2009. A user posted 2 black and white photos of children playing. In the background, barely visible, stood a tall, thin figure. People became curious. Stories were written. Photos were edited. The legend grew. But something strange happened. People across the world began claiming they saw him. In forests, near schools, even outside their bedroom windows. Was he just a made-up story? Or did something darker come to life? Let me tell you a true case. In 2014, in Wisconsin, USA, 2 12-year-old girls lured their friend into the woods. They stabbed her 19 times, yes, 19 times, to please Slender Man. They believed that if they didn't do it, he would hurt their families. Thankfully, the girls survived. But the question remains, what made 2 children believe in Slender Man so deeply? Was it just a story, or something more? Many believe Slender Man targets children and teenagers. He appears to them when they are lonely, sad, or scared. He gains their trust, then leads them away, deep into the forest. They are never seen again. Sometimes he leaves clues behind. A notebook with strange symbols, drawings of trees and tall men, or words like, "Don't look." He is here. Can't run. No one knows where Slender Man takes his victims. Some say he traps them in another world. Others say their souls become part of the forest. There are signs that Slender Man is near. Static on your TV or phone, sudden headaches or nosebleeds, strange dreams of tall figures missing time or memory gaps. Once he chooses you, it's hard to escape. People report seeing him in their dreams, then in their backyard, then closer and closer. He never runs, he never speaks, he just stands and waits, and when you finally look away, he's gone. But the fear stays forever. In the year 1904, in the picturesque coastal town of Key West, Florida, a young boy named Robert Eugene Otto, affectionately called Gene by his family, received what would become one of the most infamous haunted objects in history. The life-size doll, standing approximately 3 feet tall, was meticulously crafted with a straw-filled body, glass eyes that seemed to follow observers, and stitched fingers that gave it an eerily human-like appearance. Dressed in a crisp white sailor suit, the doll was reportedly given to Gene by a Bahamian servant who, according to local legend, was well versed in the dark arts of Obeah magic, a Caribbean form of folk magic with roots in West African spiritual traditions. The Otto family, prominent members of Key West society living in their grand Victorian home at 534 Eaton Street, now known as the Oddest House, began noticing disturbing phenomena almost immediately after the doll's arrival. Young Gene developed an unnatural attachment to the doll, insisting on calling it by his own name, Robert, and treating it as though it were a living companion. What began as seemingly innocent childhood behavior took a sinister turn when family members reported hearing Gene engaged in animated conversations in his room, but with a chilling twist. They could distinctly hear 2 different voices, Gene's normal childish tones alternating with a deeper, more guttural voice that sent shivers down their spines. Neighbors and household staff began reporting bizarre occurrences that defied explanation. Several claim to have seen the doll's face pressed against upstairs windows when the family was known to be out. Servants would enter rooms to find furniture rearranged overnight, with young Jean adamantly proclaiming, "Robert did it," whenever questioned about the disturbances. The family's cook once swore she saw the doll blink its glass eyes, while a groundskeeper reported finding it in completely different locations without human intervention. As Jean grew into adulthood, the strange happenings only intensified. Though he attempted to leave his childhood behind, Robert remained an ever-present force in his life. The doll was eventually relegated to the attic of the family home, but this did nothing to stop the phenomena. Visitors to the house would hear unexplained giggling coming from the empty attic space. Delivery men reported seeing a small figure watching them from the attic windows. Even as an established artist and respected member of the community, Jean would occasionally slip into referring to the doll as if it were alive, sometimes blaming it for misfortunes years after he had supposedly outgrown such childish notions. After Jean's death in 1974, the home passed to new owners who almost immediately began experiencing terrifying paranormal activity. They reported objects moving of their own accord, cold spots that followed them through the house, and the overwhelming sensation of being watched. Most disturbingly, they would frequently find the doll, which they had locked away in the attic, sitting in different rooms of the house, its expression seeming to change from the blank stare they remembered to something more sinister. These occurrences became so frequent and so frightening that the new owners eventually donated Robert to the Fort East Martello Museum, where he resides to this day in a specially constructed glass case. At the museum, Robert's legend has only grown. Countless visitors have reported camera malfunctions, sudden illnesses, or streaks of bad luck after failing to show proper respect to the doll. Museum staff maintain a log of these occurrences, which includes accounts of the doll's position changing when no one was looking, his facial expression appearing to shift, and even instances where his head seems to have turned to follow visitors as they move through the exhibit. Paranormal investigators who have studied the doll have recorded significant electromagnetic field (EMF) spikes in its immediate vicinity, captured electronic voice phenomena (EVPs) of whispering when no one was present, and in some cases, photographed strange anomalies surrounding the doll. Today, visitors to the Fort East Martello Museum must abide by what have become known as Robert's rules. They must politely ask permission before taking photographs. "Robert, may I take your picture?" They must never mock or speak disrespectfully to the doll, and if they experience any strange occurrences, they should immediately apologize to Robert. The museum keeps a collection of letters from visitors who failed to follow these rules and subsequently experienced misfortune, ranging from minor mishaps to serious accidents. Whether Robert is truly inhabited by some remnant of Jean's spirit, a darker supernatural entity, or simply serves as a focal point for psychic energy, one thing remains certain. This century-old doll continues to be one of the world's most documented and feared haunts. Whether Robert is truly inhabited by some remnant of Jean's spirit, a darker supernatural entity, or simply serves as a focal point for psychic energy, one thing remains certain. This century-old doll continues to be one of the world's most documented and feared haunted objects. His glass eyes still watching, still waiting for the next visitor to cross his path. The legend of the black-eyed children, sometimes called Becks, emerged into public consciousness in the late 1990s when journalist Brian Bethel published a chilling account of his 1996 encounter in Abilene, Texas. Late at night, while parked near a movie theater to write a check, Bethel was approached by two boys between the ages of 9 and 12. Dressed in outdated clothing and speaking in strangely formal, monotone voices, they asked for a ride home to retrieve money for a movie, specifically Mortal Kombat, a detail that cemented the time period. Though the boy's language and tone unsettled him, Bethel initially fought off the creeping fear, until he noticed their eyes, entirely black, without sclera or iris. A wave of dread and what he later described as Unreasonable fear overtook him, and he fled the scene. His account, originally shared in a paranormal-themed mailing list, quickly spread across the early internet, catalyzing a modern folklore phenomenon. Soon after Bethel's story gained traction, others came forward with similar accounts, some of which predated 1996, suggesting the phenomenon was not entirely new. A man in Portland, Oregon, for example, later recounted a nearly identical encounter on his doorstep from 1985, which he had previously dismissed as a bizarre but isolated event. Reports began flooding paranormal forums, call-in radio shows like Coast to Coast AM, and online creepypasta communities throughout the early 2000s. The patterns were always disturbingly consistent, even across continents. 2 or more pale-skinned children, typically between 6 and 16 years old, appearing at night in isolated areas, outside homes, on doorsteps, near parked cars, or along deserted roads. At first glance, they seem normal, if oddly dressed, often wearing old-fashioned or oversized clothing. But their behavior quickly turns unnerving. They speak in unnaturally calm, robotic tones, ask to be let inside a home or car, and avoid eye contact, until they suddenly look up, revealing entirely black eyes that seem more void than human. Witnesses nearly always report an overwhelming sense of dread, as if some primal part of the brain recognizes the children as unnatural or dangerous. Some describe sudden drops in temperature, an unnatural stillness in the air, or the absence of typical background noise. No wind, no animals, no insects. A few even report strange smells, such as sulfur or ozone. In nearly every account, the children insist they cannot come in unless they are invited, mirroring ancient vampire and demonic lore. If denied, they grow more aggressive, sometimes begging, sometimes demanding, but always refusing to leave until a firm refusal is given. Once turned away, they either vanish instantly or walk off into the darkness, never looking back. The most disturbing aspect of these encounters lies in the aftermath. Though there are no widely verified cases of someone allowing them entry, those who came close often report strange consequences: electronic failures, recurring nightmares, sudden illnesses, or unexplained paranormal activity in their homes. Some even believe the children somehow accessed personal information, as they've been known to speak names or reference details they shouldn't know. Paranormal researchers have proposed various unsettling theories: that the black-eyed children are demonic entities, interdimensional beings, or extraterrestrial hybrids akin to the Men in Black of UFO lore. A more esoteric theory suggests they are tulpas, psychic manifestations created by mass belief, given form through humanity's collective fear. Some researchers also point to screen memories, a phenomenon associated with alien abductions, in which a less threatening image, like that of a child, masks the presence of something far more disturbing. Another theory posits they are the souls of dead children, caught between dimensions and seeking to cross over into the world of the living. Regardless of origin, their apparent need for permission to enter, and the consequences when they are denied, adds an extra layer of malevolence to the phenomenon. Despite its fringe nature, the black-eyed children legend has left an imprint on popular culture. Numerous books, indie horror films, and video games have drawn inspiration from the lore. The 2012 film Black-Eyed Kids, for instance, and countless online horror stories helped solidify their place in modern paranormal mythology. However, not all are convinced. Skeptics and psychologists argue the sightings may stem from sleep paralysis, suggestibility, or the cultural transmission of modern folklore. Mass hysteria, misidentification of ordinary children, and internet contagion theories are frequently cited explanations. Yet, the remarkable consistency in witness testimonies, often from individuals unaware of one another's stories, remains a compelling mystery. To this day, reports of black-eyed children continue, As recently as 2022, credible sightings were recorded in rural England and remote areas of Oregon, involving doorbell camera footage of unnaturally still children standing motionless for minutes before vanishing without a trace. Some witnesses even claimed the children disrupted electronics or left behind mysterious footprints or scorch marks. With every new account, the line between legend and reality continues to blur. Whether they are misunderstood spirits, malevolent entities, or simply the product of our darkest collective fears, the black-eyed children remain one of the most chilling and enduring paranormal phenomena of the 21st century. Their eyes, cold, black, and bottomless, are burned into the memories of all who claim to have met them, and their softly whispered plea, "Please, let us in," continues to haunt those who refuse. Deep in the cold, dark forests of North America, a creature waits. It hides in the trees. It watches in silence. It is always hungry, always cold, and it wants you. This is the terrifying legend of the Wendigo. The Wendigo is a monster from Native American folklore, especially among the Algonquin people. It is described as a tall, thin creature with gray or pale skin. Its eyes glow like fire. Its fingers are long and sharp like claws. Its mouth is full of sharp, bloody teeth. Some say it has the head of a deer with antlers. Others say it looks like a skeleton covered in ice. But everyone agrees on one thing: Wendigo is always hungry. Long ago, during harsh winters, food was hard to find. People would freeze or starve. In the worst cases, some would do the unthinkable: eat human flesh. And when someone ate human meat out of greed, not survival, they were cursed. They would slowly turn into a Wendigo, a monster filled with endless hunger. No matter how much it eats, it is never full. That's the true horror. The Wendigo is not just a monster. It was once a human. The Wendigo lives deep in snowy forests and mountains. It is silent. It moves like the wind. It can smell you from far away, especially if you are scared or hungry. It doesn't chase like wild animals. It waits, it watches, it follows. You might feel a cold breeze, even with no wind. You might hear branches cracking, but no animals in sight. That's how it begins. And once you see the Wendigo, it's already too late. People say there are signs that tell you the Wendigo is close. You feel cold, even by the fire. You hear whispering voices in the trees. You smell something like rotting meat. You lose time. Hours feel like minutes. You start having strange thoughts, like hurting the ones you love. The Wendigo gets inside your head. It controls you with fear. Some believe it can even possess a person, turning them into killers, then into a monster. Many people have claimed to see Wendigo. Hunters, hikers, even campers. In the 1800s, there were reports in Canada of men going mad during winter. They killed their families and claimed they were controlled by the Wendigo. There's even a condition called Wendigo psychosis, where a person believes they are turning into the creature. They feel hunger, but only for human flesh. These are not just stories, they are warnings. So if you ever get lost in the woods, if the night feels too quiet, if your breath freezes in front of you, don't ignore the signs, don't follow the voices, because Wendigo is watching, waiting, and it is always hungry. In Japan, there is a question feared by many, a question that may seem simple, but can be deadly. Am I pretty? If a stranger wearing a mask asks you this on a dark street, don't answer, don't run, because you may have just met the Slit Mouthed Woman. The Slit Mouthed Woman, known in Japan as Kuchisake Onna, is a terrifying spirit. She appears as a woman wearing a long coat and a surgical mask, just like many people wear in Japan. But beneath that mask hides something horrible. Her mouth is cut from ear to ear, a deep, bloody smile, like a twisted grin carved into her face. She was once beautiful, but now She is a monster, looking for answers and revenge. There are many versions of her story. One says she was the wife of a samurai long ago. She was beautiful, but unfaithful. When her husband found out, he became furious. He attacked her, slicing her mouth open and screaming, "Now who will think you're beautiful?" She died from her wounds. But her angry spirit returned, cursed to roam the streets forever. Now she hides her scar behind a mask, waiting for someone to talk to her. You may be walking alone at night, and suddenly a woman appears. She steps in front of you and softly asks, "Am I pretty?" If you say no, she takes out a pair of scissors and kills you on the spot. If you say yes, she removes her mask, revealing her horrifying slit mouth. Then she asks again, "Even now?" If you scream or say no, she attacks. If you say yes, she may still cut your mouth to look like hers. No answer is safe. Some people believe there are ways to survive. Say, "You're average." It confuses her, just long enough to escape. Others say throw money or candy to distract her, or ask her a question back. She may stop to think. But these tricks don't always work, because once she chooses you, she follows you. She haunts your path and waits for the perfect moment to ask again, "Am I pretty?" In the late 1970s, Japan went into panic. Children were afraid to walk home from school. People claimed to see a woman in a red coat standing near alleyways and schools. Some schools even had teachers walk kids home. The fear was real. Some say she still appears today, wearing a mask, blending in with the crowd, watching, waiting. Maybe she's already behind you. So if you're ever in Japan and a strange woman stops you and asks, "Am I pretty?" be careful what you say, because the last thing you might hear is the sound of scissors and a soft, chilling voice whispering, "Even now?"